Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympics since '92? How do they do it? Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Sport is alive and well at Bond University.
Good evening to you. It's a wet and muddy Giffen Park. This is round 14 of the Bond University QAFLW and the second week of Jarrah Corporate Pride Round. Coorparoo hosting Southport. And while you might expect third versus first to be a fairly even sort of match, historically it's been anything but. The Southport Sharks have won all 7 matches between these two sides. And if you add up the scores of those 7 matches, Southport's kicked 71 goals and Coorparoo scored 61 points. That is how uneven it's been. It's been a real stumbling block for the women in navy blue. Today is a chance for Coorparoo to start turning that historical ledger around. Well, Southport, they could make some real history today. More on that later. My name is Daniel Viles. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for your patience. Unfortunately, this game had to be delayed by over half an hour. I'm told there was a fairly serious injury at one of the earlier games that brought proceedings to a halt, so that's pushed everything back. And thank you very much to Jarrah Corporate for their support of Pride Round, which is not just here in the Bond University QAFLW, nor just in the men's competition, the TPIL Lawyers QAFL, but right across Queensland. And the teams, Coorparoo wearing their Pride jerseys, Southport wore theirs last week, and Tyler Hickson, a very recognisable umpire at the best of times, just making sure we don't miss him in the rainbow socks. Eliza Hand in the ruck for Southport. In for the injured Taylor Gregory. Renee T's losing out, but Coorparoo with the first clearance on the right wing. Crabtree just pushed off it. Coorparoo able to regain possession through Isla Feta-Hugic, who kicks it out on the full. And she'll have better moments than that today. Today is her 50th Bond University QAFLW game. Congratulations, Isla. She's been captain for last year and this. Returning Joe Boltays kicking in from the left back pocket. Abby Plooples back in the side this week. Dropped by Ship, Olivia Marr. Been in sterling form this year, particularly in front of goal. Was well picked up on the bounce by Meg Muir, who's back in the QAFLW. Hadn't played for most of this year and then returned mid-season. Baltays in the sleeves today. I saw Megan Hunt has moved up into the midfield, and Baltays obviously thought, well, defenders at Southport, one of us has got to wear sleeves. O'Brien in the 7. Just knocking it forward. He's trying to link up with Marr. Inside, could only find Renee Tees. And the wrestling match on the ground will mean the ball is rather muddy. Umpires for today, in the field, Tyler Hickson and Mitchell Blashak. On the boundary, Boston Midgley and Seb Sharp, and in goal, Mark Jackson and Bryce Franklin. And of course, proudly supported by Bradman's Windows and Doors. Asher Elliott, just fumbling in the wet conditions, no disgrace. The umpire spots a free kick for Coorparoo in the right back pocket. Well held. Might be Toledo Nissan, possibly Feta-Hugic. Chelsea Wynn in the middle of the park. She goes inside 50 for Coorparoo. Excellent mark by Lee Alder. He's creeping up towards 100 games in this competition. Currently on today's number 95. Ship got the handball from Scarlett Featherstone in the headgear. Ball picked up by Suckling, combines with Featherstone. Shows a bit of candy, gives it to Ship, just evades the tackle. Southport have an inside 50, that is very well cleaned up by Jasmine Fretwell. Whose ribbon just looks a little bit less bright in the soggy conditions, or maybe she hasn't got the last one back from the dry cleaners. Dropped on the wing by Wynn, then had a Featherstone land on top of her, which, as the name would suggest, is probably a fairly light kind of stone. Eliza Hand in the 31. Wynn hits the deck. Megan Hunt wraps her up. Got the tip from Southport coach Matt Lapham before the game that they would use this as an opportunity. As holding the ball, it was grabbed by Grace Roberts-White anyway. So Nissen kicks it away down the throat of Kira Zarafa. Yes, Lappin said be using today's match as an opportunity to throw the magnets around, not out of any disrespect to Coorparoo, far from it, but simply because with the under-18 players out, just gives the opportunity to rejig the side. Olivia Marr, lovely step and then dropped it cold. There were appeals for holding, but it wasn't. It was dropped well after the tackle was completed. Suckling had her kick partially smothered. Picked up in the middle of the field by Chloe Haynes. Spun cleverly. Outside to Muir. Then kicked out by Zarafa. It doesn't matter if it's deliberate or not because it's a lasso. So not a lasso. Not quite sure what the ruling was there, but I'm not going to overrule the umpires. So Hunt, of course, made her name as an inside midfielder, who's been playing mostly in defence this year as the defensive organiser, the voice of experience in the defensive line after the retirement of Selena Priest. Roberts-White, good handball to win, combining well the new inside midfield combination. Haynes got it off the side of the boot, but found a willing target in the form of Indy Scheffler. This is Scheffler's 7th game in this competition. She's already up to 21 goals, kicked 7 against Maroochydore, kicked 4 on debut against Yeronga. Scheffler from a fair way out, looks to have the distance, and Coorparoo draw first blood against the Southport Sharks. "15 years old and 181 centimetres tall. They've developed a few tall forwards at the Coorparoo Kings. Most recently, Chloe Gaunt, who played for them last year and has now been drafted to Port Adelaide. It was Emma McKenzie, who's now on the staff at Morningside. I think it's about 195 centimetres, but she played here for many years, and now Indy Scheffler. Hand, originally a Tamworth Swan, then a Killarney Vale Bomber, now a Southport Shark, and unfortunately giving away a free kick in the middle of the ground for holding. Comes back to tease, plays off to Isla Feta-Huggich. Deep inside 50, Brown charged it, couldn't come down with it. Chaos ball, Chelsea Wynn shoots from about 35. Off target to the left. Began at Coorparoo, Chelsea Wynn, went to Yeronga for a couple of years, and then began this year in Melbourne, had a crack at the VFLW, decided it wasn't for her, and has joined up at Coorparoo, and the combination of Wynn and Roberts-White, and then players like Rose Clancy-Dillon in the midfield, it's been quite exciting. Just scuffed forward by Edie Fraser, the other 15-year-old goal-scoring starlet, as Megan Fogus introduces Chelsea Chesterfield to the boundary. 6 goals last week for Chelsea Chesterfield. That was against Yeronga, the bottom side, but you don't get the 4 points just by reputation. You've got to turn up and earn them. Lands in space behind Fraser. Holds her own as she was charged into by a rampaging, I was about to say Brown, it wasn't. Might have been Marr, which is a fairly solid opponent. Cuts through, Brown strung around. Pulls behind her, off the shoulder of Roberts-White. O'Brien, Feta-Huggich and O'Brien, Queensland teammates of course. Zielinski back in the side today after an injury layoff. Good to see Caitlin Zielinski back. The Southport defence swarming in the wet conditions. It was Carly Hess who gives the ball back to the umpire. So Coorparoo surprising by dominating the early exchanges. Roberts-White, I think that came off O'Brien's heel, just a boundary throw-in. But Coorparoo's highest score in a match against Southport isn't all that high, as we'll have a boundary, not boundary throwing, ball up about 45 metres out, just 3-2-20. Never kick more than 3 goals in a game, and they've got one early. And they're maintaining dominance inside 50, as Ship was the last to see that over the paint. And on a wet day, territorial dominance can be key. It also makes Giffen Park a little bit more forgiving. It's a very hard ground in dry conditions. And I'm very glad that the boundary umpire has an excuse. I've never seen a boundary umpire have quite a vertical throw as that. Very forgivable in the conditions. And a much better second effort. Tees cleans up the ruck contest that flew over her head. Lucy Schneider was just hanging around behind the pack. Came off the hand of Plooples in the number 8 shirt. Trying to get involved again. Was well in off her wing and just hit it over the head. Tees. Went back to Schneider. Good work in the middle from Milne. O'Brien. Tackled by Tees. Coorparoo shutting down the space. Handball inside. Gets to Chelsea Wynn. She's got a fair range, Chelsea Wynn. Well off to the right. And she seemed to get underneath the belly of the ball, as didn't really have time to get the perfect enhanced football ball drop. All to restart. It is a congested game, as you would expect. Turned over to Schneider, who's brought to ground by Zarafa. And Kira Zarafa, who last week broke the competition all time, let's say. We've only been counting the individual stats for 3 years, but she now has the record for most effective disposals in a match with 31. And that was against Aspley, who've been beset by injuries this year, but let's not forget they made a preliminary final last year. And were the last team to beat Southport many, many months ago. Tees reading the flight of the ball from the boundary umpire, probably best at the moment. Somehow, I think it was Hunt who got the ball out of the middle. Knocked through by Davies to Ship. It's as far forward as Southport's been for a while, but turned over to Jess Riley. He's been a fixture in the Coorparoo defence this year. Former Redland Victoria Point junior. Set back in the general direction of Ship. Tyler Crabtree working hard. From what I've seen playing mostly as a small forward this year, Crabtree, but whether by design or necessity, she's behind the ball at the moment. Tees knocked it down to Hunt. And Zielinski will see that over the boundary. Well, Ben McKenzie will be extremely happy with how Coorparoo have held this ball in the forward half for so long in this match. Of course, 1/8 of a match does not a victory make. It's good work through the middle from Abby Lunson. Zielinski working hard over the top. Got it all the way through to McDonald. Hannah Davies with a dinky kick over the top. It's just knocked out of the way by Ben Wedding. Ooh. Just a hint of a tackle that was too strong. And then Lunson got blamed for it. So Chelsea Wynn can buy Abby Lunson a drink after the match. Good tackle on Brown from Wynn. Wanted the free kick and got it. Brown did take a couple of steps into that Wynn tackle. So I'm not even sure they made it over the 50, but they weren't able to make any inroads. Cooper on the counter attack. Baltays with the punch. Knocked it to where several Sharks were. Crabtree knocked over the top from Featherstone. He's looking for Davies. Back to Featherstone. Slipped off the tackle. McDonald with a handball into air. Haynes knocks it further wide. Good work on the ground from, might have been Nissen. Crabtree trying to knock it into space. Just knocked away from the ball. She won the race but missed the target. Number 44 is Melita Watts, whose sister Jess played here last year, but Melita, a very accomplished player in her own right in the QAFLW. Played with Surfers Paradise for quite a long time. May have had a brief stint with Yoronga. I need to check my records. Lily McDonald taking her turn in the ruck. We've seen that in the last few weeks when you've had players like Georgia Davis unavailable, and Taylor Gregory will be out for just a little while. There's a whistle from the outer zone umpire. Spotted a bit of argy-bargy, has Mitchell Blashak. As Carly Hess, I think she was trying to kick the ball into the spectators. Maybe spotted a brand of beer she didn't like and thought, no, I'm knocking that one over. As in literally. A 7-0 lead to Coorparoo. The side that has not only struggled against Southport, they've been humiliated on occasions. Holding their own so far today. Back to Baltays. A kick into the corridor. The clearing kick didn't clear. Fogus dragged the player away from the ball. Umpire says play on. Hannah Davies able to clear. Just not quite able to be held on to by... That was wetting under there. Gives away the free kick. Or might have been Clancy Dillon. Either way, it's Steph O'Brien in the middle of Giffen Park. Just goes straight through the arms of Jess Riley. And Southport now are inside 50. Returned by Muir. Not with any great direction, but it may work out all right. But Roberts White thought she had it. Fogus was charging. Megan Hunt, as always, finds space because Baltays had provided an option on the outside. Good work underneath from Brown. Now they're getting the handball chain going. The floaty kick ends that. Not able to be held on to by Wedding. Plays the ball between her legs, so to speak. A bit of a hangover from another sport. Semi-cleared by Wynn. Harding's followed through. Joe Baltays goes for a ride on Harding. I didn't bother preparing a stat about when Southport was last kept scoreless in a quarter because I didn't think it would happen. It may not yet. And while Coorparoo want 4 points, take the victories where you can. Haynes knocked it to her own advantage, goes inside 50. She's 50 out with a wet ball. The goal square is empty. She's offline. And with a dry ball in dry conditions, you might expect the former AFLW player to put that one through and give Coorparoo a very handy lead. As it is, it's a missed opportunity. But Coorparoo, who by reputation are a side that likes it physical, they're not a simple side. They do like to spread the play. And Ben McKenzie's got them playing an excellent brand of football this year. It's been very attractive to watch. But I do wonder whether the wet conditions are going to suit them slightly more than the women in black and white. McDonald through the middle, found Ship. And both Queensland wingers on display today, Ship and Schneider. Careful, Daniel. Already moving in well off their wings to get their hands on the ball. It was well called by Tees. Not the best kick. Out to Muir. Found a teammate further forward. So the ball's just over in front of the tents. Pushed inside 50, but didn't hit the target, so Crabtree will have time to reset. And found the easy target of Zarafa, who's had to drop way back in defence. Not playing the role she'd like to play. And Southport has been kept scoreless in the opening quarter of a Bond University QAFLW match. I never thought I'd see the day, certainly not in 2025. Quarter time at Giffen Park. Coorparoo 1-3-9 with a goal to Indy Scheffler. Southport yet to score.
Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympics since '92? How do they do it? Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Sport is alive and well at Bond University.
Welcome back to Giffen Park. A quick check of my records. If I go back to the 4th of May 2024, which was round 4 last year, in the third quarter, Southport versus University of Queensland, Southport did not score a point. That's the last time I can find in my records a quarter where Southport was kept scoreless. In 2025, I've had a hard time finding a quarter where they were kept goalless, never mind pointless. But contributing factors: wet conditions, players in unfamiliar positions, 6 changes to the side since last week. But let's not take away from Coorparoo, who were relentless in their pressure in that first quarter. Kira Zarafa moves back onto the ball. Tees beats out Hand in the ruck contest. Coorparoo running to the right of your screen, where they may get a bit of support. That's where the clubhouse is, and there's a fairly significant activity happening there today. Haynes wrestled off the ground. Zarafa able to get a kick away. Kicked it away to Riley. Riley did very well to dance through traffic and then return the ball. Still being played between the corridors. What a beautiful one-handed pick up from Milne. Returns it towards the boundary, and it hit Hands. No, didn't hit Hands, so that'll be a free kick to Lucy Schneider on the far side. Now, that match I was just mentioning, Southport against University of Queensland, was the first match of Southport's current 26-match winning streak. Coorparoo back into the middle. Hunt, who played here, won 2 premierships here. Dropped by Pluples. Opportunity. Muir was pushed over. Pluples recovered well. Miskicked. Tees intercepts. Comes off the side of her boot. Lands with Meg Muir. Tees is forward, providing a target. Chesterfield's usually around. Muir, not the kick she wanted. Nearly worked, just slipped through the hands of Chloe Haynes. Ship will run it outside of the 50. Eventually has to get it onto the right boot. This could be another lasso free kick, but you could almost argue that's a tactical free kick to give away. Stacey Anderson with the ball. Knocked it through, hit the legs of Pluples. Zarafa trying to crash through, couldn't break through the 2 tackles. Just a ball up. So Southport come into this match having won their last 26 straight. The all-time record in this competition, at least as far as we know, which is from 2010 onwards, is 27. That was out on the full, so free kick to Coorparoo. That 27 record was by Yeronga from 2011 to 2013. That was a side that contained people like Kate Lutkins, Jordan Zanchetta, eventually Emily Bates. Clancy Dillon just winces as that ball finally lands in. Southport are able to get possession. Hunt clears the 50 with no real intent. And they're basically just playing for safety at the moment, the Sharks. There'll be time to create later. Clancy Dillon. She goes straight down the line again, or maybe play it a little bit more creatively. Gives herself a little bit more margin for error. And O'Brien and Fogus, I think they were hoping that they'd get paid for half a mark each. Knocked out the side, it turned over to Ship. Coorparoo nearly had a scoring opportunity. Southport able to defuse it. Riley getting front position, cleverly knocked it forward away from Featherstone. And Zarafa will clear. Not sure that Southport would have had as many rebound 50s as this all year. O'Brien intercepts and is on the charge. So often it's O'Brien that gets teams moving forward. Knocked forward by Baldwin. Don't think we've seen her anywhere near the ball so far today. Putting pressure on Muir, who's got a long way back. She plays for the safety of the boundary. Looks like it may just be a throw-in, which would be a strange decision. You could call that deliberate. May have been out on the full. It's not a lasso because it's inside the 50. Ship is arguing in her own very demure way that was out on the full. And then decides, okay, the battle's lost, we'll get on with it. Tees somehow getting it to win, came off the knees of Pluples. Muir applying pressure to Pluples. Sliding through the middle, might have been Roberts White. The dump kick, well, it was heading safely into the arms of the Southport defence, and then Chelsea Chesterfield decided to change the narrative. And again, her intervention, she's a very clever forward, not just for scoring goals, but also knowing when not to be a forward, so to speak. Muir. I think she thought she was kicking with a dry ball as Asher Elliott nearly accepted a Christmas gift. High contact. Coorparoo with another chance to get back towards the clubhouse. Still with a 9-point lead as Federhagic used the distraction on the right to make space up the left. Just dropped in the forward line by Scheffler. Gets it towards just a bit of open ground. Roberts White wrestling hard. Knocked over the top by Scheffler. Suckling working hard in defence. The spin was from Haynes. Dump kick taken by Zarafa. Didn't go 15, so should just be a ball up as Federhagic and Wynn stop the play. That 27-match run by Yeronga was ended in the 2013 Grand Final when they lost to Coorparoo. And where is that Coorparoo 2013 side right now? They're up in the clubhouse having a reunion. In fact, the hat-trick of premierships, 2013, 14 and 15. Most of them are there, hoping that Coorparoo can end a winning streak in 2025, just as they did in 2013. It's a beautiful symmetry that Southport are playing here on a day when Coorparoo decide to have that reunion. Strong tackle was made by Eliza Hand. Enjoying the muddy conditions. Not quite sure whether they get these in Tamworth or indeed at Killarney Vale in the Hunter Central Coast competition. Kicking in danger. Free kick back to Zarafa. She will kick long. Doesn't matter how soggy the ball is. Was knocked into space by Davies. Good sweeping around the outside from Crabtree. Sorry, from Caitlin Miller, who again's been starved of opportunities so far in this match. Beautiful sliding mark from Haynes. Tasmanian showing a bit of wet weather experience. And Coorparoo's miss kicks are working tonight. A number of them have clearly gone off the outside of the boot and gone to hand. Chelsea Wynn keeps it wide. Good effort in front from Brown. And the handball over the side from O'Brien. Not quite finding hand. As in the hand, not Eliza Hand. I think Chelsea Wynn's appeal for a lasso was a bit ambitious there. No addition to the quarter time score. The only goal scorer is Indy Scheffler, who scored in the 6th minute of the first quarter. The rain has been quite heavy both today and last night. And there has been a men's game on before this. Or 3 men's games rather, because you had Colts and reserves as well, as Caitlin Miller does well to maintain her balance in the swampy part of Giffen Park. Or swampiest part. O'Brien, always strong in the contest. Just went behind McDonald. Numbers to the ball. Elliott with a strong tackle. McDonald tried to tap it over the top. Featherstone out wide. Suckling hit the deck. That's cleared by Hess. Strong mark taken by Scheffler, who'd come a long way from home. In fact, that was Nissen. Apologies. That'll be cleared by Watts. Kicked away from Riley by Featherstone. Featherstone's got wheels. Put pressure on Wedding, and Wedding was up to it. Baldwin, well intercepted by Riley. Just a hint of a push in the back, but none of the players complained, and the umpire didn't whistle. Now, was that pulled back into the contest? Indeed it was. Featherstone will have the free kick at right half forward. This is arguably Southport's best chance all match. Featherstone goes for a run, pushes it deep. Mark not taken, opportunity not over. The handball inside needed to be intercepted and was cut off by Elliott. Bravely put her hand out as charging through was Anderson. They haven't quite cleared. More attack from Southport. Contact over the shoulder. The mark was dropped by Tees. But I think Miller on the way down was just trying to get her hands to the ball and found a Renee Tees in the way, which is always annoying. Kicking to a contest, it sort of came off the top of the boot. Featherstone working hard in the last couple of minutes, not uniquely. Tees, left foot clearing kick, hits the deck. Good work from Zielinski. More good work from Crabtree. Lays the ball back for a teammate. Finding it very difficult to connect, but they're not clearing. Southport, Anderson goes back. Gets it away from Baldwin, has to follow through. Just by any means possible, clears the 50. Pluples goes back, she'll be wrapped up by Schneider straight away. Lost it cold, but they're able to maintain possession with a clever tap back to Hunt. Hunt was looking for O'Brien and nearly found her. Fogus, clearing handball to Suckling. Off the top of the boot. Miller. That would have been an extraordinary mark had it been held. She's claiming it. I think there were some Zielinski hands about halfway through the sequence, but to basically make the ball circumnavigate your body and then hold it against the back of the neck would have been, if not mark of the year, maybe a Cirque du Soleil audition. Brian wrapped up on the ground by Harding. There's an arm wrestle that'll go for a while. The ball lands in the mud from that last rock contest. Roberts-White, she hasn't had much space today either. Knocked forward well, picked up by Hess. Hasn't gone 15, so even if Lunson had marked that, it wouldn't have counted. But what Coorparoo are really doing really well is shutting down the space. It's not something you can do in dry weather because good teams like Southport will just be able to clear the ball too quickly. And if you've congested the play, then you won't be able to spread in time to be able to cut off the attack. But in wet conditions, where the marks aren't being held, where the kicks aren't going as far, they're doing what no other team has done to Southport this year, which is just shut down their space, because no team creates space like the Southport 2025 side. O'Brien just willed herself to that ball. Knocked through by Fogus. Tees tries to knock it underground. Brown working hard, as is Fogus. Keeps it wide. Just came off the foot of the Coorparoo player near the wing. Handballed inside through the arms of Crabtree, who cannot possibly have been expecting that. And then, oh, tough tackle. Nothing illegal in it, but it's the kind of one where you just hope the tackle player is okay. She did have to come off for a spell last week against Aspley, Tyler Crabtree, but whatever the problem was, she managed to shake it off fairly quickly. They breed them tough in, I want to say Bendigo. If it's Ballarat, I apologise. I believe her sister Bindi, who also came up, was injured earlier in the season, but she's making her way back through reserve grade, so giving herself the best chance of cracking the top side again. And Hand tried to take on too much. Gives away the free kick. Down on the scoreboard, down on the inside 50s of Southport. Harding towards the 50. Ship will return it. But again, Southport having to kick quickly. They're not getting the space and having the players in the outside running positions that they're used to having. And there are several reasons for that. The internal ones are conditions and personnel. The external ones are the women in Navy. Pushing in the ruck contest. Hickson will not put up with that. Steph O'Brien has the free kick. Opportunity lost for Talena Nissen. Started the year with a bang and has come back well from injury. Starting to get a few goals together as well as Nissen. Been a good addition to this competition this year. Baltays just trying to get the ball across. O'Brien helping out. Check side kick from defence. Bit of friendly fire as Caitlin Miller, who's working hard at the moment for no luck. If Miller keeps putting that kind of effort in for the remainder of this match, you suspect that at some point something will go her way. Crabtree got it back to her captain in Ship. Wasn't able to maintain the momentum. Zielinski was preparing herself to catch a ball that was running onto her, and it never ran on. Suckling charged onto the previous one. Fretwell in traffic, trying to get her head over the ball and was knocked off it 3 times. Some steady resistance from Zarafa and co. Fogus and Ship in there as well. Struggle is down. Muir at the back, who was just absolutely bowled over by Zarafa. There's Meg Muir. Just ponders life back in her rugby league days, or at least her touch days, when she played for the Sydney Roosters. Fogus with a handball over the head. Didn't quite hit whatever target she was looking for. And again, this congested style of play is suiting Coorparoo. They're doing it well. And it's going to take Southport some really intelligent structures to be able to break out of this. It may be that they need to take a few chances by moving the ball backwards and then switching lanes. But even then, it's going to take 4 or 5 precise disposals to be able to break out. And in this weather, in these conditions, that's easier said than done. Very easy for the fat bloke in the comm box to recommend it. So Anderson gets it back towards the 50. T's tried volleyball. She was a former basketballer. I suppose the skills are transferable. Federhugic just knocked it forward. Robert's wife, who's probably got more tackles than disposals at the moment. That's simply a reflection on the kind of game it is. But 9-0 to Coorparoo at this stage of the second quarter was not in the script. Suckling, beautiful dancing through the middle, and then kicked it away to Zina Federhugic. Beautifully cut off. Been called a 50. 50s can be deadly in these conditions, in low-scoring games. No, that is brilliantly umpired from Mitchell Blashik. I don't think the Federhugic sisters were deliberately playing for the 50 by missing the ball that was being handed to them. But I think after the fact they thought, oh yeah, let's have an appeal. Blashik was very, very awake. Zina Federhugic has not scored a goal in the Bond University QAFLW. And that one's touched through. It was just dropping on the line. I think it was Alder and Milne who were able to get their bodies in the way. But 1-4-10. And so Southport dodge a bullet. Zarafa, who's been far more intelligent with her kicking this year. The team talks at halftime would be fascinating to listen to. Maybe we'll read about it in a book 10 years from now. But at halftime here at Giffen Park, round 14 of the Bond University QAFLW, the league leaders, the 26 winning streak unbeaten Southport, are yet to score. Coorparoo 1-4-10.
Inside this building is a simulated hospital ward, a high-tech biomechanics lab, a commercial kitchen, and a whole virtual home. Let's explore the new Bond Institute of Health and Sport in just 61 seconds. This is the 12-bed simulation hospital ward. From day one, Bond students gain hands-on experience in allied health and exercise science. This is the Work-Play Lab, which gives students the opportunity to provide occupational therapy for our youngest, while the Activities of Daily Living Lab simulates a full home environment, giving students the chance to practice mobility work with our wisest. From sprinting to golf swings, this track can track it. Using pressure sensors and high-speed cameras, it can analyze anything from age-related conditions to elite sports training. Wow. The Kitchen Lab has solar-powered sustainable cooking stations, giving postgrad nutrition and dietetic students access to commercial-grade equipment.
Thank you.
Why don't you come and check out the Bond Institute of Health and Sport for yourself? Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympics since '92? How do they do it? I've got 61 seconds to race you through the life of a student in the Bond Elite Sport program. Strap in. Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain, supporting student athletes like Mia.
Student athletes have access to flexible study loads, adjusted academic requirements, and tutoring.
The top tier of student athletes even receive funding to assist with their travel and competition costs. Bond also runs 4 high-performance sporting programs that field competitive teams. There's netball, rugby, AFL, and swimming. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Whether it's producing world-class athletes or offering scholarships to high-achieving students every single year, sport is alive and well at Bond University.
There's a strange feel around Giffen Park tonight. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on the official AFLQ YouTube channel. Coorparoo versus Southport. It's round 14 of the Bond University QAFLW. And it's the second and final week of the Jarrah Corporate Pride round for 2025. Coorparoo in the rainbow jerseys. Coorparoo 1-4-10. Indy Scheffler scoring in the 6th minute. Her 22nd goal in just 7, well, this is her 6.5 QAFLW matches. Southport yet to score. There have been 7 previous matches between Coorparoo and Southport. Southport have won all of them. Let me tell you the scores. 64-10, 29-15, that's as close as it got. That was in Pride Round of 2022. 40-9, then it gets ugly. 89-0, 79-20, 81-6, and 92-1. That was back in May this year. Coorparoo is now leading 10-0. The players out for Southport today, and they're not insignificant. So Dakota Barron, Georgia Davis, Rhianna Ingram, Sunny Lappin and Michaela Nurse. So they'll all be playing for Queensland Under-18s tomorrow in their final match of the Under-18 Girls Marsh AFL National Championships. That's at Brighton Homes Arena at Springfield. First ball up's at 11 o'clock. If you can get there, go and watch some quality women's football. But that Coorparoo side you can see now, they know they've got a chance. Looks like Lucy Schneider, who's one of the more experienced players, was speaking. Rose Clancy-Dillon's taken over in the number 2 shirt. You can see her back and the animated plait. They know that the job's only half done. But I think they wouldn't necessarily have expected, hoped absolutely, but not expected to be in this position. Southport, equally intense. They've just broken up from one huddle. They will remain calm. They'll believe in their ability. The other major out is their regular ruck, Taylor Gregory, who's had a concussion, so she'll be out for this week and at least one more. But they've not been able to play their normal game tonight. And yes, the conditions are wet, but we've seen them play that way in the wet in the early part of this season, where they were still able to find ways to move wide. And Coorparoo have been able to interrupt that tonight. Mitchell Blashik quite rightly says that, look, we realise this is intense and there's a lot on the line, but if we don't actually get started, then we're just going to leave Daniel hanging in a soliloquy for ages. Tyler Higson has a smile on his face because Tyler Higson. Emily Harding looks focused. Steph O'Brien looks focused. Emily Harding and Lily McDonald will enjoy a laugh. It's an important game. It's a pressure game. But it is, of course, just a game. Lily McDonald finding something very amusing. She's up against the very highly credentialed Renee Tees. Isla Feder-Hugic, the Coorparoo captain, playing her 50th game in this competition. She's running with Steph O'Brien. Good punch by McDonald. Southport moving forward, and just a case of how the umpires saw who was being pulled back. It will go back as Southport's free kick, which is how I saw it. I just never assumed that my vision's correct. Southport are looking quite relaxed. Fergus had a smile on their face. Cut off by Feder-Hugic, who is spectacularly thrown into the mud. O'Brien gets a kick away. Won't have gone 15. Crabtree just wasn't able to hold on. Goes underneath the pack. We've seen a lot of those just little hits out of the contest today, which is exactly how you should play in these conditions. It was probably a thing in women's football anyway, but I think Craig Starcevich in the first 4 years of the Brisbane Lions turned that into an art form. Now every women's side in Australia does it. Zina Feder-Hugic ran into Kira Zarafa, and we never heard from her again. Tees, time to run well. Just knocked forward from Zarafa. O'Brien using her strength to get front position. Gets some kind of disposal away. Was up towards Elliott. Picked up at the back by Fretwell. And taking more and more chances to talk Jasmine Fretwell up every chance I get. 23 years old now. And an increasingly reliable defender. Tees wins the free kick. She was held away from the contest. She'll be racking up the disposals today, Renee Tees, as rucks often do in these conditions where the ball just doesn't get very far away from the ruck contest. Given that most of the players in this competition aren't as big a stats nerd as I am, and trust me, that's not criticising them, they may be unaware of what the 2025 Coorparoo side is on the verge of doing. And to be fair, there's still probably about 38 minutes of playing time. Well, 32 minutes of playing time, but 38 minutes of real time. Tees pushed it away and somehow found it behind her. Kicked away by Roberts-White. Lovely soccer from Baldwin, which I think may have been a former sport of hers, I'm not sure. Unfortunate slip from Muir. Baltays chasing. Baltays got the ball, Muir got Baltays. Knocked out to Suckling. Good work from Baldwin. Out towards Elliott. Pushed away by Haynes. Haynes did well in traffic. Only got as far as McDonald. McDonald inside 50. Goes deep. Ball lands in a puddle. Featherstone's charged through the pack to get a shot on. Wedding only semi-cleared it. Ship wasn't able to get a shot away. Crabtree does. Tyler Crabtree misses to the left. But Southport are on the board in the 38th minute of match time. $10-1 is not normally a scoreline in a match involving Southport. That's normally odds on the Melbourne Cup outsider. McDonald was able to get the clearance. Southport go back inside 50. Not with any great intention. Wedding, just a hint of kicking danger. Zarafa tried the same thing. Went through the hands of Featherstone. Riley is wrapped up. Brought to ground by Featherstone. Holding. Important call. Bit of Bronx cheering downstairs. Not quite sure why. Although when you're under pressure, sometimes you look for reasons and they're not always internal. Scarlett Featherstone. Low, flat kick. Saw the lead from Baldwin. Apologies, Miller. It's a luxury for Southport that they have two extremely muscular forwards. So Caitlin Miller got the front position. Been in brilliant goal-scoring form this year. And that's what conditions like this can do. And maybe the match situation got to her as well. But what is undeniable for Southport is they're dominating this quarter territorially. So Miller unable to add to her 21 goals this season. And we don't keep records of assists in this competition, but her score involvements would be enormous. McDonald up to Zarafa, slips a tackle. Not able to slip the second. Ball spills loose, but quite rightly called for holding. And Chloe Haynes is stepping up in key moments. Not necessarily in the play every second of the match. She finds a captain in Feta Hugic. Have I mentioned her 50th game today? I will again. Congrats, Isla. And of course, a two-time member of the Queensland side as well. Knocked it into traffic. Win. Couldn't direct the kick. Clancy Dillon got enough of a hand to it before it crossed the paint, so boundary throw in. And probably the major difference with Southport tonight has been just the off-ball running hasn't been as precise, partly because of the changes in personnel and partly because of the weather. You can possibly hear through the effects mic one of the coaches saying, pick up the footy, which in mud is the right thing to do. Easier said than done, but Haynes picked up the footy and she was able to get a kick away as well. Twice as much fun. Coorparoo finding a way forward. Lunson chasing. Unable to keep her feet at the key moment. Roberts wide over the top. That might have been Scheffler before, actually. It's kicked away by Baldwin, who began at Southport as a defender, so she knows that part of the field. Up to Plooples. She's got a fair old engine on her and tracks back and forth. Looking for Featherstone. Was punched away by Zinafeta Hugic. Zarafa slips to get another tackle. She won't get the numbers this week that she had last week. No disgrace there. Can't be a record breaker every week. Anderson's kick is vertical. Brown, clever tap inside. Found Fogus. Featherstone let Anderson get to it first. She kicks back towards the boundary. That'll be a lasso free kick. In fact, it's called touch. Mitchell Blashik quite clear in his call, so bit of luck for the Kings. But I don't believe they've had, oh, well, they just had one inside 50, but they didn't really have an effective disposal inside forward 50, so still very much Southport's quarter, and they have got the only 2 scoring shots of this quarter. Knocked forward by Brown. Lining up behind it is Wedding. Able to get enough on it. Got it towards Tees. Went for the quick handball. Muir up forward. Gets a skid on. So I just kept silent so I could hear the coaching from downstairs. What are you doing is never the most positive call from coaching staff, but if they believe it's required. So Baldwin in defence. Hooks it round the corner. Was looking for Plooples. Didn't find her. They get a second opportunity, the Sharks. Cleverly tapped away by Muir to Riley. Riley will just get territory. The sliding mark attempt is unsuccessful. That was from Nissen, who played an outstanding game in very similar conditions at Wilston Grange back in round 2. Not quite been the same kind of game tonight. Similar. Knocked forward to Clancy Dillon. Excellent charge down from Brown. Roberts White was well held by Baltays. Ship had it stripped out from her grasp. Goes wide, Brown. Brown and Muir. Brown elects to keep it on the ground. Played a bit of soccer in Shepparton. That is a rather large bump from Stacey Anderson. She may have come off second best. Was well ridden. Clancy Dillon didn't get the kick she wanted. Ship was well turned around by Hess. The calls of ball. To be fair, it's not really what they've been calling today, so consistency is maintained. Suckling to McDonald. McDonald's been impressive today. Ship has worked hard, and yes, just looking at it thinking, will that be called over the shoulder? Or was Higston satisfied that first contact was below? Either way, free kick. Ship moves forward. It's corridor footy. Keep it simple. That's a wonderful mark by Tees in the circumstances. Would be simple in good conditions, but very strong in these. Plooples, clever handball inside to Zarafa. Zarafa has space to get a decent kick away and does so. Goes for distance. Crabtree to Featherstone. Crabtree again. They're trying to soccer it forward. Wedding with a head over the ball. Featherstone again. Knocked forward. Crabtree got a body over the ball. Was there a push? There was, and it's gone to Zielinski. The scrambling defence from Coorparoo was enough, as neither Crabtree nor Featherstone really had enough time to get their hands on the ball. The Suckling maybe could have been paid the mark there. She was bumped fairly heavily as she was about to come down with it. Umpires are a fair bit closer than me. Bit of a buzz around this ground at the start of the match as well, because Coorparoo had a thrilling come from behind victory in the QAFL, the TPIL Lawyers QAFL. Good tackle from Clancy Dillon on Brown. It's knocked loose, however. And the danger is still there. Which way? Goes to Wedding. Doesn't go to Wedding. Still goes to Coorparoo, but it's back to Abby Lunson. He's had a good year since coming over from Yeronga. And cleared by Muir. He's been one of Coorparoo's best tonight. It's just overrun by Hand. And the free kick goes to Hess. Comes wide to Muir, unable to hold on, Suckling tracking her. And the two New South Wales women hit the deck. And then off the side of the boot from Klooples, she would love to forget that moment. So Ben McKenzie, the Coorparoo coach, just asking a couple of questions of the umpire. The free kick has gone back to Caitlin Miller. I don't think that was anything McKenzie said, but that's what's happened. Unable to hold on was Schneider. So the 11's normally steel, but with the Pride Round jerseys, that is, if there was a prize for Scoop of the Year, that would win it. Taleda Nissen, I know what she was trying to do, and she did it about as well as I would in a similar situation. Fretwell charges onto that beautifully. Gets it forward, it won't go inside 50. Lee Alder had all the time in the world to set herself, goes back to the contest. O'Brien unable to hold on, and plays brought to a halt as Tiani Brown Lily McDonald. No, it was Brown. As Feta Huggage quite clearly just put a couple of hands in the back and made sure that she got well acquainted with the dirt and experienced its cleansing properties. Coorparoo with a free kick to tease. Fair way into the third quarter. Coorparoo lead by 8. Southport without a goal. Klooples tackled hard by Nissen. Hand unable to gather. Again working on the ground hard is Nissen. Was knocked forward towards Haynes. Klooples looking to make up for her earlier error and does so quite well to cause the stoppage. Southport have not been in a game like this for a long, long time, probably since that UQ game that they won back at the beginning of this streak. Through the legs of Hunt and Baldwin. Kicked off the ground. Just needs another strong kick by Carly Hess. In the context, a goal there could have put this game to bed. And I know I'm calling it early, but just low-scoring games have that kind of feel to them where just one scoring shot here, a goal there, and the game's gone. Southport Milne chasing. Zielinski got in front of her. Looks like Zina Federhagic. Brought to ground well by Melita Watts. Of course, the other player that Southport is missing still is Maddie Watt, who injured her finger playing for Queensland down in Tasmania. Hasn't been seen in the Bond University QAFLW since. And I'm on record as saying I think she's the best player in the competition. Isla Federhagic wrapped up. Game still being played in good humour. Not quite cleared by Klooples. Did Muir cop one in the back? No, Brown, once again, Brown not playing dirty, despite the fact that she got pushed in the mud and is possibly the dirtiest player on the field in a literal sense. Miller hits the deck and she was held well after the ball had gone. So Caitlin Miller's free kick. I think Miller didn't realise the advantage she had because the player had left the mark. O'Brien tried to take that one-handed. Hannah Davies at the back working hard. Emily Harding last one up. Saying that Emily Harding has played tough today is a bit like saying birds like to fly. Brown with a kick she'd like another attempt at. Miller taken over the boundary. O'Brien taking her turn in the ruck. Brown trying to get it through. Anderson hacking it in the opposite direction. The work on the ground was strong from, looks like Nissen. Zarafa on the ground. Nothing wrong with Kira Zarafa's work rate tonight. Not a lot has gone for her. But if you want someone to keep putting in even when things aren't going for them, then Kira Zarafa has exemplified that tonight. O'Brien just trying different things. That was a back of the hand ruck win. Brown on the ground. Brown could have the highest work rate out there tonight. Baldwin. Turned around was Wynn. Kicked off the ground, pinballing. Clever knock out the side from Tees. Back to Muir. And then the strong tackle from Focus. Make sure that play's brought to a halt. Courtesy of Zinafita Hugic. Tees Zarafa just trying anything. Wasn't able to get the ball on her chest. Tunnel ball breaks out in both directions as Meg Muir pretended she was frightened. I can assure you she wasn't, but she did have that kind of please don't touch me look on her face. And arms. She's been through the legs of Tees. He's been miss everywhere tonight. Knocked forward by Wynn inside 50. Mark drop by Scheffler. A tight, goalless third term. The only two scoring shots to Southport, both of them minor. It is 1-4-10 for Coorparoo, looking to end the 26-match winning streak of the Southport Sharks, 0-2-2. There is 1 quarter left. You sense that there's magic on the line.
Did you know Bond students have been in every Olympics since '92? How do they do it? Bond is known for its prowess in the sporting domain. With incredible facilities throughout campus, it means you can easily transition from this to this. Sport is alive and well at Bond University.
July is Women's Coaching Month in AFL across Australia, and you may have seen in the Coorparoo huddle just before, Chanel Fletcher, who appears in a social media video for AFL Queensland recently, also a QAFLW reserves team assistant coach. She was holding the board for Coorparoo, who are 9 points to the good. I forgot to add the one for the Coorparoo behind in the third quarter, but they are leading by 9 points. Southport have not scored a goal. They are going for a record equaling 27th consecutive victory in this competition. The record currently held by the Yeronga side of 2011 to 2013, a run that was ended in the 2013 grand final by Coorparoo, and that premiership side is having their reunion up in the clubhouse to the right of screen tonight. Tyler Crabtree has a free kick for Southport on the right wing, runs around the mark, and that's one of the few times someone's marked in space tonight. It was Fogus. Fogus deep inside 50, beats everyone, and the only winner is the boundary. But just as they began the third quarter, Southport inside 50. The one time they played on this ground that was not against Coorparoo was in a Pride round match against Wilston Grange, where this was back when Wilston Grange was struggling quite a bit. And the Grange led at every break, and then Steph O'Brien took control of the match in the fourth quarter and took Southport home. Interestingly, one of the Wilston Grange midfielders that day was Kira Zarafa. Played a couple of games for Grange in 2023 before heading south to Southport to join some of her fellow Northern Territorians who were at the club at the time. Unable to clear at the back of the contest, and Southport go deeper inside 50. Goes past Davies. Will be semi-cleared by Wedding, turned over and taken by Suckling. The rain has stopped. Conditions are obviously still boggy. Over the back to O'Brien. O'Brien snaps. Misses everything. But as I say, I've seen Steph O'Brien turn games around during Pride Round before. She was a bit of a Pride Round specialist back when she played for UQ. She pretty much single-handedly won a game against Aspley. That was at Yeronga in 2022. Missed everyone. We all fall down in the background. Bit of friendly fire between Zarafa and Watts. All smiles. As the player who just got knocked over is the one who's tasked with giving the ball back to the boundary umpire. Important passage of the match. It's not imperative that Southport score quickly. Don't want to reach into the cliche barrel. But it would obviously help because opportunities have been few and far between. Back inside, over the head of Zarafa, gives herself space. Distance won't be a problem, neither direction. In the third minute of the final quarter, Southport celebrate a goal like they never usually celebrate goals. The margin is back to 2. To 3, I apologise. The first goal in this match since the 6th minute of the first quarter when Indy Scheffler scored at the same end. Zarafa, still only 19 herself. And her left foot has been, well, dominating parts of this competition this year. Fogus, she's got the bit between her teeth through the middle. Schneider. Hoofed forward, Baldwin in defence, plays strongly. Mark unable to be completed. Win is wrapped up. Haven't been keeping count of the hit-outs, but what Lily McDonald has offered Coorparoo is a lot of mobility in the middle of the park. Zarafa raided the tackle and then got the handball away. Unable to be progressed by Hannah Davies. Coorparoo will knock it wide. Roberts White versus Hunt. Went back inside to Crabtree. I hope that wasn't someone flashing their lights on the boundary. I hope it was inadvertent. Got to respect the game. Zinafeta Huggins tried to give the ball back, and Mitchell Blaszczak had to say, no, I've given you a free kick. That means you kick the ball, okay? Bit of an accidental torpedo up the, or a barrel as we call it in Aussie rules. As Baltays tries to take a couple of Coorparoo players for a piggyback ride. Neutral ruck, Schneider trying to hook it inside. Kicks a vertical, they'll land with Muir. Calls a 50 because a player ran through the mark, but that was just momentum. Haven't seen much of Chesterfield tonight, trying to get involved at that moment. Ship and Hunt, wrapping up in a 1-2. Southport are able to clear. Mark just outside the 50 by Tees, who would be close to the best on ground tonight. Schneider. Probably wouldn't even have this distance in the dry, but she can certainly make a nuisance. Nissen unable to complete the mark. Zarafa with a massive bump. Win in the way. Was tackling McDonald. Watts unable to pick it up. Chesterfield went flying. Wins the free kick. And if Coorparoo could have selected who the free kick went to, they must have chosen Chelsea Chesterfield. She's now up to 82 career goals in this competition. The list of people who have 100 is short. Emma Zilke on top of that particular list. But Chelsea Chesterfield, this is a big moment in this match. It's a big moment in the season. It's a big moment indeed. The boil over is on. Chelsea Chesterfield has Coorparoo's second. There are many things about that goal that impressed, but I think it's worth pointing out just Coorparoo's mindset. Would have been very easy to concede a goal to Southport and then say, okay, now it's back on script. Let's just dig in and, we'll try our best. They didn't. They thought, no, we're still ahead. The game's there to be won. They moved it inside 50, maintained discipline, and the margin is restored. It was like Clancy Dillon just went without it. She had front position for a fair chunk of that battle. The ball's not coming out of there. Worth noting that when Bond University had extremely good teams in the last few years, particularly that 2023 Premiership side, which about a third of which is now playing for the Gold Coast Suns, the one team that was able to knock them off at their peak was Coorparoo. And Federhugic and Schneider had a fair role in that victory 2 years ago. Clancy Dillon tackled to ground by Zarafa. The Southport side is weakened, not just with the under-18s gone, but also with injuries to Watt and Gregory, who are just so integral to the way that this team likes to play. But the replacements who have come in, we've seen them before at this level and they've succeeded. Southport will not want me to make excuses for them. Point out the facts, yes. Make excuses, no. And they just can't get it moving forward at the moment. Brown has worked so hard tonight. Had an air swing just then. Now the time on in the QAFLW is for goals behinds and serious injuries. It's not just for out of bounds and stoppages. So while the clock that you see on your screen is simply the total time elapsed, so we don't know how long it is till the siren, the time it takes to throw the ball back to the umpire and do that is not taken out of the match. Brown again looking to make something happen. Likewise, Ship saw three kings in the way. There was no way through. That is a GIF. I'm going to make that during the week. As Emily Harding and Tiani Brown are almost merging as one. It's not been an entertaining game. And that's not really a criticism. It was not in Coorparoo's interests to make it entertaining. Brown again. You suspect one of those is going to work soon. Now they've got it going forward. Clever handball, just missed the mark. Featherstone still looking to make it work. Just knocked out the back from possibly Riley. Comes back to Zarafa. She has a long kick, but she didn't have a lot of space in front of her. Knocks goal side. Beautiful sweeping from Zenefeta Hugic. The cavalry arrive. Featherstone's over the top of the ball. Miller appeals for a free kick, none forthcoming. Had 2 goals in this quarter. Let's say 9 minutes left. That's a guess. McDonald punches forward. Riley's clearance wasn't effective. Fogus tries to sock her. Comes back to tease. Her clearance is straight down the middle. Plooples only got the one hand to the ball. Pushing the back. Free kick given away by hand to Fretwell. Or possibly Nissen. Edie Fraser. Haven't seen much of her tonight just because it hasn't been that sort of game. Well, it's either out on the full or a... You can see just a little bit of frustration with Maddie Baldwin. None of these players want to be part of the side. I should say that I realise I go on about this streak because I'm a stats nerd. That's not really Southport's concern or aim. I'm sure they'd like a record if it comes, but their aim is the flag. And they remain red-hot favourites for it, whether they like it or not. We all know what the context of tonight's game is. But Coorparoo, if they lose tonight's game, will be locked on 36 points with 2 other sides, with the best percentage, admittedly. And so there's a chance they could lose home advantage in the elimination finals. A win today could mean they get a couple of home finals. Up towards the goal square, didn't find the target. Comes out to... Didn't see the kicker, but it was away to the right. Possibly Milne. No, it was Hannah Davies, apologies. Only the top 2 get a double chance in the finals. But if you finish 3rd, you're only in knockout games, but at least you get home advantage for the first 2 of those. Well, the second one if you win it. O'Brien playing strongly. The gap is 8 points. We're looking at 6 or 7 minutes remaining. 2 goals in 7 or 8 minutes. Southport would have done that 50 times this year. But not at this stage of a match and in these conditions. McDonald was bursting through. Up towards centre half forward. Baldwin playing further forward. Watts had a head over the ball. Trying to run it out is Wedding. Schneider in a battle with Fogus. Turned around by Brown. Not marked by O'Brien. Well tracked by Fretwell. Riley clears. Not quite held by Fraser, but holds her own against Baldwin. Maddie Baldwin is an imposing player who I'm on record as saying is AFLW ready. And Edie Fraser, who is 15, just held her own physically with her. I hope I managed to praise both players there as Crabtree goes across field. Clearance and sliding mark taken by Chesterfield. She did one of those earlier in the match, would have been the second quarter. And maybe just being a little bit too professional by quite obviously slowing it down. Finds Schneider. Schneider a little bit too casual. Should just be a boundary throw in. Will that be a lifter for Southport from Maddie Baldwin? A charge down that maintains field position. Megan Fogus on the boundary yelling encouragement. Caitlin Miller back into the fray. A noted goal scorer. Ruck's being told to separate. I suspect Renee Tees has had the better of the contest tonight, but it would be wrong to say she's had it all her own way. McDonald, or Brown on this occasion. Muir, been outstanding tonight. Goes through to Hess. Hess trying to get around Boltays. Boltays held her body position well. This tackle is strong from Nissen. Eliza Hand back into the ruck. Wynn read the drop zone well. Pluples. Unable to come up with it. Zarafa. Zarafa's stats could look terrible tonight, and yet she's clearly been one of the best players on the ground. Coorparoo inside 50. Fraser chasing Baldwin. Unlucky bounce. Fraser gets something onto the left foot. Well taken by Boltays. Baldwin. Handball over the top to Crabtree. Brought to ground strongly by Roberts-White. Cleared by Boltays. So I think this is their first senior game back from injury, so good to see her get through it. And she's looked at home. Wedding's not going to be able to get rid of that. It's been a dour struggle. But Coorparoo, when they haven't been on long winning streaks themselves, have made a habit of ending those of other teams. The Coorparoo side that ended Yeronga's winning streak in 2013, well, if I just say that the winning goal was kicked with almost the last kick of the game by Emma Zilke, you'll get the idea. Because one player who won't be at that reunion who was in the 2014 and 15 sides is Megan Hunt, because she's wearing number 1 for Southport. Good work through the middle from Roberts-White. Strong. Inside 50. Free kick given away to Belt. Comes back to Milne. Time running out for the Sharks. But only for this match. They're still dominating the season. A loss here would, of course, give Morningside a sniff of the minor premiership. That's brilliant work from Arla Federhagic. Never let go of Kira Zarafa. Possibly has a bit of mud in her eye, but is also very aware of the match situation. Told to play on. Mitchell Blaschick wasn't born yesterday. Horrible kick. And I think it was just touched over the line by Muir. Muir is one of my best tonight. Not touched by Muir, so the free kick goes to Southport. They need to move. One goal in any match in a black and white jersey is just unfathomable. Free kick comebacks to Chelsea Wynn. She's told to go long. Not the time to be sophisticated. Get the job done. Roberts-White knocks it forward. They can smell this victory, Coorparoo. They're inside front 50. Even if Southport were to break away once, Coorparoo would back themselves to stop them from doing it twice. A little bit of push and shove, a little bit of frustration. They've done it! The streak is over! Coorparoo has not only ended the longest winning streak in QAFLW history, they have ended the second longest winning streak in QAFLW history. 2-5-17. Their goals to Indy Scheffler and Chelsea Chesterfield. Just so it looks like there was a bit of push and shove. The match, I believe, is over. I think Fraser and Baldwin, that's disappointing. Might just make sure we can keep the camera on it if we can, just to make sure that nothing comes of this. The last thing we want is suspensions. There's certainly some words, and sadly there has been a little bit of history between these two sides. The calm heads have prevailed and hands are being shaken now. In the context of the season, as Matt Lappin and Ben McKenzie shake hands, it doesn't mean a lot to Southport. They're still favourites from the minor premiership and the premiership. But Coorparoo has shown the entire competition that in certain conditions the Sharks are vulnerable. Thank you so much for your company tonight. Kira Zarafa scored the lone goal for Southport. My name is Daniel Viles. It's been a great pleasure to bring you this match tonight. The Southport Sharks, their first loss since March of last year. Coorparoo have beaten them by 8 points. Next week, please join us for Aspley versus Coorparoo. That'll be at 2 o'clock on Saturday out at Autumn Mall, Aspley Oval. I'll look forward to your company then.